Hello, friends, and welcome into NBA Now. I am Tom Downey. That is Harrison Graham. The NBA trade deadline, it is over. Let's break down Harrison's winners and losers as I immediately throw him under the bus to begin. I take no responsibility for his teams, although I do agree with the very first one that you have, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I love what they did.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the biggest winners for sure. If I'm power ranking it, I don't know if they're the biggest, but they are certainly one of them. They get their guy, Tom. They've been chasing D'Angelo Russell for over a year at this point.
It's been a while.
They get their guy to pair with Karl Anthony Towns. They send off Andrew Wiggins to the Golden State Warriors. D'Lo and Karl Anthony Towns, from an offensive standpoint especially, should mesh really, really well. I don't know how the fit works defensively. They're going to have to add some pieces down the road, but you get this next couple of months to finish this season for these two to grow together because they're not a contending team, which has some value because low-pressure games, right? They can figure out how to play together. They get along great off the court. That has been well documented. So you got to feel good about what the Timberwolves did, especially, Tom, considering the trade details on how they got D'Angelo Russell. That's a huge win for Minnesota.
Here they are, in case you guys have missed them or need a refresher. D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans, and Amari Spellman all go over to Minnesota. Wiggins, a 2021 first-round pick that is top 3 protected, goes to Golden State. In 2022, it becomes unprotected.
Yep.
And in 2021, they also get a second-round pick, as they have like 5 of them now from various deals this year.
Yeah, it's to be determined how this works for the Warriors, but on the Timberwolves side of things, landing D'Angelo Russell, who I think was the best player available, guy who was linked to trade rumors, to get him and to pair him with your superstar Karl Anthony Towns, that is excellent, excellent news for Timberwolves fans who have been desperate for something because it's been a rough go for a while now. The Jimmy Butler stuff did not work from last year. Now you get D'Angelo Russell with Karl Anthony Towns. You should be excited if you're a Minnesota fan.
The key piece there for the Warriors was Andrew Wiggins, and I know Minnesota fans were happy that he is now on his way out.
Yeah.
At least some of them are.
Well, and you know who's happy is Karl Anthony Towns, and you got to keep your superstar happy. So moving on from Wiggins, too, and to only lose a first-round pick in this trade, I think you got to feel very, very good if you are Minnesota moving forward.
So we'll bring up the details again and ask you guys a simple question. Who won the trade? Type W for the Warriors or T for the Timberwolves. Harrison clearly going with T, and I'm inclined to agree. I know you got some defensive concerns with D'Angelo Russell, but it's not like Wiggins was an elite defender like he should have been able to be in the NBA.
I mean, coming out of college,
Maybe
Wiggins
still can
was
be.
supposed to be an excellent two-way player. That is not rounded into form. Maybe a fresh scene in Golden State helps there, but it's got to be T for Timberwolves. You got to be typing your T's here because they got the best player, and quite frankly, they didn't have to give up a ton for him. I think this is a great trade and a big win for Minnesota.
Let's head out west here to L.A. for our next winner, the Los Angeles Clippers, who got Marcus Morris in this trade.
Now, the Clippers wouldn't have been losers per se had they not gotten Morris or had not made a trade, because I think they had a playoff-ready roster. But to add to that and to get Marcus Morris in addition to what they already have, which is 5 or 6 really excellent players, plus a couple of more who are good players as well, is really, really good. Now, just a side detail, Isaiah Thomas was a part of this trade, but the Clippers will not keep him on the roster. I assume that means they are waiving him.
Back to Boston?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Just throwing it out there.
That's an interesting idea. But the Clippers getting Marcus Morris, that's the big detail here. That makes them big winners. He becomes a part, I assume, of their bench, which is already one of the best bench units in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, it can even get really you go big if you wanted to. Like,
he can start or come off the bench.
We'll get to Houston in a second, but potential big lineup for the Clippers, you could go massive with Paul George at the 3, Morris at the 4, or Paul George at the 2, Morris at the 4, Kawhi at the 3, plus a center.
Zubats at the 5 would be the guy there. If you're playing your kind of your crunch time lineup, Harrell would be
flexibility
in there,
with size is now a big thing.
I mean,
for
they've
LA.
got 8 or 9 legitimate rotation players now. Like that is a loaded team with the Clippers. The Knicks did get Harkless back, who was a salary matchup there for Morris, and they get a first-round pick. So good on the Knicks as well. And the Wizards got involved with Jerome Robinson because the Clippers had to move on from another contract also.
To make that deal work, the Knicks ended up getting a first-round pick. I do like this deal quite a bit here for the Clippers to get Marcus Morris. I thought the Lakers made the right call not getting him, but it's a good deal for the Clippers side of it because they had Mo Harkless' piece or contract to trade.
Yeah, they just had the better assets. They could trade a first-round pick too, which the Lakers could not. The Knicks, like I said, got Harkless in that first-round pick as well. But this is the type of player Marcus Morris is a good player, an excellent role player on a contending team. Now he's with the Clippers, averaging a career high this year across the board, Tom. I expect him to dip back down to that 13, 14-point range out in L.A. when he'll be playing with the Clippers.
So speaking of these L.A. teams, who's the better team right now? Type C for the Clippers or L for the Lakers. Let us know in the comments section. You going Clippers here, Harrison?
Yeah, I'm going with the Clippers. I think Marcus Morris makes them the best team in L.A. I was already higher on the Clippers than the Lakers just because I think they're better suited for the playoffs. I like their bench a lot, which comes into play. I'm typing my C for Clippers. I think they were the better. They're the better LA team now after the deadline.
All right, next up on the trade deadline winners, the Philadelphia 76ers. What did you think of their moves here overall, Harrison?
I think that these are underrated good moves. That's what I think. That's why I made them winners. Now, they're not as big of winners as some of these other teams who added more frontline talent, but Burks and Robinson, good bench players on contending teams, in my opinion, were having nice seasons with Golden State, took advantage of their opportunities playing for a team that isn't contending this year in Golden State. Sixers trade 3 second-round picks to get Burks and Robinson. They don't have a good bench. Now it should be a lot better. I think Burks and Robinson can score off that bench. I think they will help a lot. I like Burks and Robinson's three-point shooting especially, which is what you want when you're talking about reserve players. Burks and Robinson can do that.
They certainly fit around Ben Simmons, who's a driving kick guy overall because he doesn't bring anything in terms of shooting. Burks and Robinson were definitely the two key pieces there. Obviously, they sent out James Ennis, but they had to make moves there. They also have waived Trey Burke, just to make note of that. Look, Sixers had a bunch of second-round picks to play with, and they turned them into good players.
Yeah, and they got a second-round pick back as well. Burks and Robinson are the outline there, but you get a second-round pick back for James Ennis, who took off to Orlando as a part of a separate trade. So overall, are they massive winners? No. Is it going to steal the headlines? No. But I think the Sixers, this is a solid B-plus deadline for them. I like these moves. They were somewhat handicapped with what they were able to do. They turned those second-round picks into valuable pieces, which is hard to do in the NBA.
Absolutely is. I think Burks is probably the best of them. He's put up great numbers this year in a bigger role for Golden State.
Too. 40% from three, just about. He's having a nice year. The player out of Colorado has had an up-and-down career, bounced around a little bit, kind of put it all together this year in Golden State. He should be an ideal volume scorer off the bench for Philadelphia.
And Robinson, one of the only real threes that the Warriors had on that roster. Burks can kind of play that role as well. He comes over too, and he's also having a nice year.
And you mentioned that too. They're versatile players. They can both play the 2 or the 3. They're not locked into one position. They can
Sixers love their size.
They can guard. They can defend on the perimeter as well. Especially Robinson, a better defensive player here, having to break out your offensively as well. He's still developing too. Burks isn't developing still. Per se, but Robinson is, so there still is some upward mobility there, the former player out of Michigan.
We appreciate everyone who has subscribed to us here on YouTube and watched our trade deadline coverage. We're not done yet, though. We've been going about 4 hours live in total on today's shows. So hit that big red button. We're going through winners and losers right now. We've got buyouts coming up as well in a little bit, the potential buyout candidates that make sense for a variety of teams. And though the trade rumor season is now over, it'll heat back up in the offseason. We're not going away. Maybe you'll see some draft coverage as well with mock drafts and whatnot coming up in a little bit. So hit that big red button and subscribe. Next up, the Atlanta Hawks, Harrison, in terms of your winners.
You could argue they were the biggest winners. I don't know if I would have them on top. They were certainly near the top because you add Clint Capella and really didn't give up a ton for him. You also bring back Dwayne Dedmon, who doesn't have a great contract but had success with the Hawks before the Kings, quite frankly, overpaid him in the offseason. Also took some flyers on some young players like Derrick Walton. You bring in Skal Labissiere as well. The whole idea from Atlanta is we got to get Trae Young some help. Otherwise, he's not going to want to stay here long term. I think Capella will help him immensely. He's a good pick-and-roll center. He knows exactly what his role is on a team, and that is to clean up around the basket, block shots defensively, grab rebounds. I like the trade they made to get him. Sure, they added Nene. I bet they buy him out, quite frankly, unless he doesn't want to for whatever reason. I would assume he would want to jump onto a contender. We will see what happens there. Sure, you lose Parker and Lynn, but overall, you certainly upgraded.
This was the 4-team trade. Other pieces have actually already been moved with other deals. Shabazz Napier's gone, and Jordan Bell is gone from Houston because they don't want any size whatsoever. The Hawks, though, you like to say that they got the best player, therefore they win? I agree.
Yeah, I've been high on Clint Capella for a while. Maybe I'm higher on him than other people are. I wanted the Mavericks to try and go after him a couple of free agencies ago when he came up for free agency. He is now with the Hawks. He's still a young player. He's in his mid-20s. He should help Trae Young because you watch the Hawks play right now, Tom, and it's just hero ball from Trae Young. Sure, it's fun to watch.
I'm about to say that exactly.
But it's not going to win you much. You got to get pieces around him, and Capella is a nice piece. Next couple of years, look for Atlanta to add wing type of players, guys who can catch and shoot, guys who can defend. That is the next step for Atlanta. But you've got your point guard, you've got your center. Now it's continuing to build off of that and get some players on the perimeter to help those guys out.
It was a busy day for the Hawks there. Clint Capella ends up being, of course, the main one. There were some lesser deals that were involved, but I like what the Hawks did this time around. Now, it is almost Valentine's Day. Please do not forget, let us help you here. Head over to chatsports.com/flowers. I'll take you to the Pro Flowers site, and it'll save you 15% off flowers and gifts. That's chatsports.com/flowers. 15% off all kinds of flowers and gifts. Everything you can buy on that site, it'll save you 15% off. And if you guys do it now, you'll save extra money because you don't have to worry about the rush shipping, and it'll arrive on Valentine's Day. It's chatsports.com/flowers. That link will save you 15% off. So do it right now before you forget. Don't let it sit on the back burner and then go, oh my God, I haven't done it yet. Do it right now. Your last winner, Harrison, is the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Which never happens. They never went on the court, so at least they're getting something off the court. Keep in mind, too, Tom, we shouldn't mention this. They did hire Leon Rose to be their next team president after abruptly firing Steve Mills. We'll see if that actually ends up being a win. He is a former player agent, was actually LeBron's agent back in the day before he fired him in 2012. They're kind of going the route there that the Warriors and the Lakers have gone in recent years. But that aside, sure, you get Mo Harkless, but the main thing is here, to get a first-round pick for Marcus Morris, who's on a one-year deal, you got to feel good about that. And guess what? I know they were high on Morris. I know Morris enjoyed his time in New York. You can go after him in free agency.
Yeah.
That might make them the ultimate winners if they were to bring him back in free agency as well. It's like, hey, we got a first-round pick and brought you back anyway.
New York has done it before. Aroldis Chapman, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Different sport, but it still counts.
Hey, still applies here. To get a first-round pick for a guy on a one-year deal, I think that's always good if a team is able to do that, especially a team that's not contending. Sure, it won't be a high first-round pick, but you're not winning this year. To get a top 30 pick, that is good. I bet they'll buy out Mo Harkless. We'll see what happens there. He may not want to get bought out. He's making over $11 million this year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But if he wants to go to a contender.
But if he wants to contend, he will have to get bought out. We will see what happens there. But good on the Knicks. It's been a rough period. And when I mean period, I mean well over a decade here for the Knicks. But to get a first-round pick from Morris is a job well done.
It's a good job by them. It gives them assets going forward. It's not a great asset here, but it does fit for the Knicks. I like that move a lot here, but I am curious to see what route that they end up going in the end in terms of off-season moves.
Yeah, because their roster is still a mash unit. I don't really like the pieces they have together. You still have a lot of power forwards, but to get a first-round pick again from Morris, that was the goal, and in the end, that is a job well done. So we'll see what happens with the Knicks moving forward. But, Tom, we got to talk about some losers.
Yeah, we do.
And there's a few of them, starting with the Houston Rockets. Shout out to Daryl Morey and the Rockets for going, hey, we're going to trade Capella, get a competent center in return, and Robert Covington. Well, you got Covington, but you don't have a center. Hartenstein and Tyson Chandler, that's not going to get it done.
And not only that, I think this is partially what the coaching staff wants, is that they played the Hornets the other night. Isaiah Hartenstein played 3 minutes of that game. They played nobody big.
Tyson Chandler, 0 minutes. He's pretty washed at this point. Sure, Covington's a nice piece, but that's a net loss. Capella out, Covington in, that is a loss for the Houston Rockets.
It worked because they beat the Hornets, but they're going to throw out a lineup of Covington, Tucker, Gordon, Harden, and House or Macklemore.
There will be nights like this, Tom, where they put up 130 points, and they're exciting to watch, but come playoff time, who's going to guard Anthony Davis? Who's going to guard, even like a Kristaps Porzingis, bigs in the Western Conference? They will get bullied in the paint come playoff time. And sure, it's more of a small ball league. That is redefining small ball if you're the Houston Rockets. They better figure something out on the buyout market because they do not have a competent big right now in Houston. Sure, Robert Covington's a nice piece, but to lose Capella and to not replace him with anybody, that is bad news for Houston.
Yeah, they did get Jordan Bell, and then, of course, they flipped him off later in a different trade because
he wasn't the answer.
I mean, he wasn't, but he had size.
He's a body. Yeah.
Will the Rockets, will it change for you, as we bring up this question, if they got worse or not? Y for yes, N for no. Will this change for you if they do find a big in the buyout market?
It depends who that big is.
Okay.
If it's just a body, because Tyson Chandler.
I see Joakim Noah in the comments.
That's not enough. Okay. I don't think. I don't know who that guy is. I think they really missed out here. There were some options, maybe like an Ennis Cantor from Boston, but that ship certainly sailed. I think they did get worse, Tom, as the question is on screen. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Barring something I'm not projecting, this team got worse, and the Rockets are a desperate team trying to win right now, and it seems like some of the moves they've made in recent years continue to be questionable ones as they are trying to break through in the Western Conference.
Now, even I see quite a few guesses actually flowing in. Now, the Rockets might have gotten worse, but your wallet can get a little bit better if you make some money on sports betting with BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code NBA120. That is NBA120. N as in Nancy, by the way. NBA120 at chatsports.com/bet. That promo code will save you get you a 120% deposit bonus. So that $100, Harrison, extra 120 coming in your bank account right there.
Yeah, and if you're a Pistons fan, don't bet on Detroit anytime soon because you traded your best player. And real quick, we'll look at some MVP odds as well. You can bet on these at BetDSI. Also, Giannis, the big heavy favorites. LeBron, Harden, Luka, and Anthony Davis coming in behind. I would be surprised at this point if the Greek Freak doesn't win because, quite frankly, he's the best player on the best team, Tom. And a lot of times, that is who wins the NBA MVP.
Giannis makes a whole lot of sense. Maybe LeBron can make a run if the Lakers keep going strong.
And yeah, we'll see how
Luka would have been higher had he not gotten hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mavs they're fading a little bit, so that's why he's dipping. Now, keep in mind, if you're a Pistons fan, don't go bet on your team at BetDSI because it went from bad to worse here at the NBA trade deadline. You traded Andre Drummond for crickets. Nothing. You got nothing in return. Brandon Knight, John Henson, two guys who don't offer much at this point in their careers, and a second-round pick in 2023, and it's the worst of what are those? Which pick in 2023?
It is the Warriors or the Cavs.
The worst pick there. So whichever one ends up being worse.
It might be in the 50s.
Yeah, you might get the 57th pick 3 years from now from Andre Drummond. Congrats to Detroit. You are my biggest loser at the trade deadline. Horrible trade here. Andre Drummond to Cleveland. Great value for Cleveland, by the way. You could almost have made them a winner. I don't really know what it means in the end for them, so we kept them neutral. Again, Brandon Knight, John Henson, and a future second-round pick in 2023 to Detroit. I'm not surprised the market plummeted for Drummond. I am surprised it got this bad.
Yeah. So what was your one-word reaction to this Andre Drummond trade? Mine was wow. Also, what? Just when it first went down.
I think we saw earlier someone in the comments goes, bruh.
It's a good one.
Yeah, bad. Just bad. That is my reaction. I don't understand this move.
Tank
from Detroit
I kind of like tank. Someone says dumb, too.
They're already bad.
They're getting worse. Congratulations.
They are getting worse. They may not. Detroit might not win 7 games the rest of the season. It's going to be a rough
Griffin
go.
out. Yeah, kind of makes some sense there.
Go.
All right, your last loser here, Harrison, the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say they're major losers, but what did they need coming into the deadline?
Big boy.
A legitimate center, didn't add one. Sure, Cantor, Tice, decent players, but they're more of like backup centers. They're good backup centers. They're not starters. I love everything else Boston has. Yeah. I love their head coach, Brad Stevens. I love their backcourt with Kemba and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, and their front court of Gordon Hayward and Jason Tatum. I like this group. Just don't have a legitimate center to go with it. And yeah,
Cantor's fine, but he's not.
And he's
enough.
not he can't defend. He's a really bad defender. He's an ideal second unit big because he's an energy guy who can score off the bench, but he's not a starter. I know him and Tice have kind of been going back and forth as the starter there. Tice has been banged up as well, but I'm disappointed they weren't able to get a big man in there. We know historically Danny Ainge is hesitant to make trades. He doesn't like giving up assets, and maybe he felt like keeping a guy like Marcus Smart was more valuable in the end. But I really would have liked to see the Boston Celtics at a center here. They decided to not do that, Tom.
They did. So the Celtics there, Not a bad team, make no mistake. They certainly are one of the favorites to win the NBA Finals. So let us know in the comments section who you think's going to win. Chime in with your predictions there, Harrison. You going to go Clippers?
I'm going Clippers,
Laker
man.
hater?
I'm more of just a Clipper lover. I think they're a really good team. I think they're better suited to win the Western Conference and win the NBA Finals. I picked them before the season. I'm sticking with it. I love the Marcus Morris move. Give me the Clippers to win the NBA Finals.
Keep your votes coming. I see a lot of Clippers and Lakers already in there. All right, so to recap here, the NBA trade deadline winners, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the LA Clippers, the Sixers, Hawks, and Knicks. I know these weren't really ranked, Harrison, but pick only one who had the best deadline.
I'll go with the team that gets impacted the most this year. I'll go with the Clippers. How about that? Long term, maybe it's Minnesota, but I'll go with the team that gets the biggest impact for this year, and I think Morris helps the Clippers tremendously. He should be great off their bench.
All right, the losers then, the Rockets, the Pistons, and the Celtics. Same question here for you. These are not necessarily ranked. Pick the biggest loser of these three teams.
It's not Boston because they're like a low loser. I just would have liked to see them add a big. I think it's the Rockets because that Drummond trade's bad, but they're already a bad team. Detroit is, and clearly the market wasn't great for Drummond. They weren't going to get a first-round pick. It's got to be Houston, Tom. They got worse, and they're a team that's trying to win this year. I don't think they got better. Certainly, they'll sell it as they got better. They love to get out, a PR move, and Daryl Morey will hop on radio shows and talk about how great Robert Covington is, but losing Capella for Covington does not upgrade your roster. I think the Rockets are the biggest losers at the NBA trade.